Hey everyone, thanks for joining and welcome to today's live demo webinar. My name is Beth. I host these webinars about once a month, and we're super excited to have you guys here for today's topic, which is top frequently asked questions that we receive as account managers and to our support chat while you're building your quiz. So we wanted to answer these questions live for you and show you where to find these questions inside the builder. Today, I am joined by my coworkers on the account management team, Leo and Pablo. So we're going to all cover a few different topics and a few different things to show you as well. So please feel free to ask any questions, whether it's related to the things we're showing you today, or if you have any question that are wanting to be answered in regards to building your quiz, the quiz builder, please feel free to drop them in the Q&A box. We will have time at the end to answer your questions and hopefully show you how to find those answers inside the builder. If we can't get to your questions today, we'll make sure to follow up as well with an email to get those questions answered. We're also recording this, so we'll send this recording after this is over, so you can keep it and watch it whenever you need to if you need a reminder. So yeah, with that being said, I'm going to kick this over to Pablo, who's gonna kick us off with the first couple of questions, and we'll go from there.
Cool. Thanks, Beth. Hey, everyone. So just to get right into it, one of the frequently asked questions that I get a lot from brands that I work with is there an option to embed videos directly into the quiz experience? I think a lot of times when I see brands build out quizzes, I see some lost opportunity on the result pages to actually help inform the customer a little bit more about what the brand stands for, maybe what the product does, how to maybe even use the product. And so surrounding the product recommendation on the result pages with content like videos can be a pretty impactful tool set to improve your conversion rate on the quiz result page. And thankfully, it's really easy to do. And within Octane, again, we do offer a no-code solution. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull up my screen really quick. Okay, so to add a video on a result page, you can also do it on a question page if you'd like, but it's very simple. So you wanna do is make sure you're adding a block of some kind. Let's say content only. You wanna find the video section here. And then all you need to do is actually copy and paste a YouTube or Vimeo URL. And with just that one quick copy and paste, the video will be embedded. And from there, you're able to actually adjust the size of the video. And I'll actually give you a live example right here. You can see the URL is right here. You can adjust the width or the pixel width here, and then the video will be playable and watchable while the customer is shopping the routine. So that's why it is such a powerful tool. If your brand does not have a YouTube or Vimeo account, you are able to actually embed videos with our HTML content. It is a more manual intensive option there, but you do have some options there. So you can use ChatGPT to help come up with that piece of code and then copy and paste it into this section here, and it will be up here as well. So again, very powerful. We definitely recommend you implement that type of a content in your quiz. And then the second question I hear a lot from brands that I work with is going to be, how do you get the quiz live? And there's a lot of different ways that you can do this. The main way is, of course, going to be embedding the quiz on the Shopify page with either the page body HTML script or the full screen HTML script. You'll put that on the Shopify page, and then you have a URL to the quiz landing page that you can link to pretty much anywhere. The number one way, of course, is the navigation bar. You can then link it in pop-ups, PDP pages, your social media accounts, banners and footers on your emails. Anywhere you can really put a URL, that's where you can promote the quiz. However, there is one new additional way that we recently launched, maybe in the past couple months or two, and that would be our shopping assistant widget. And this is a really cool, non-intrusive way to get the quiz in front of a lot more customers. So this is a floating widget that lives on either the bottom left, the center, or the bottom right of the website, just like a chatbot would on the website. You can customize the look, the text here, you can target it to specific pages. But once this widget is clicked on and expanded, the entire quiz experience is interactable within this modal window, this pop-up. And of course, you can customize the formatting to make sure that it looks proper here. But again, very non-intrusive way to get the quiz in front of more customers. So this would definitely be something I would look to implement into your quiz strategy for sure. And that's pretty much it on my end. So I'm gonna go ahead and pass it over to Leo.
Perfect, that was really great, thank you. All right, questions that I'm covering today. Let me start by sharing my screen already. First one, can I hide or show auto stock products on my results pages? If you go over here to settings, you see I have an option to just hide or just uncheck this to keep them visible. Really useful if you have, say, products you want to get people on a wait list, you want people to just leave their email so you can tell them when the products are available again, or if you just want to keep only available in stock products on the quiz, You just enable this and it will be set to hide every product that's not in stock. Next one, about this specific setting here, right below it, the back button. By default, it comes disabled in quiz. So as people are going through the quiz flow, they cannot go back to a question that they just answered, but you can actually just enable this very quickly and tweak the design here to show either on the bottom center or on the top left, tweak the text. So if someone says answer with the wrong option by mistake, they can just click back instead of having to retake the whole quiz. Very simple to enable as well, easy to customize, quite easy to do. Now, the other two questions that I have to cover are about the results pages and specifically buttons on them. So first one, can I add any buttons to the quiz aside from the add to cart and learn more that you have here? First one, yeah, you can add first an add all to cart button. So very simple, you just click on the content block where you want to add it, click on add content, select add all to cart, and we have it here. And if you want to add a custom CTA that takes people to a separate URL, you can also do that very simply. So just like I did over here, you're going to click on add content, then add the URL you want to send people to, select whether you want that to open on the same tab or open on a new one, enter the text, and that's it. Let me just put here, for example, add the URL, and you have it set up. A good use case for this is if you want to add a retake quiz button. So the way this works, and I have a content block with that already set up here, is you enter a button, you create a new one, and you just set it to show on the same URL where your quiz is. If you have the link to the landing page where you have your quiz, you can just edit here, enter a text take quiz again or retake quiz copy, and that's pretty much it. You have a retake quiz button so that once people click it, that should the landing page of the quiz again and be able to just retake the entire quiz again. That's pretty much it from my end, so just leave it to Beth.
Thanks, guys. Those were super helpful questions. So I'm going to cover a few other things. And another top question that we get asked is around the design for your questions and answers themselves inside of the quiz. So as you can see in this example, we have a few questions that have just text as answer options and a few questions that have images. So you can have both inside of your quiz, and both options allow for some design. So we'll start with the text option. So over here, when we have text, you can see on the right-hand side, let me get into the answers. When you're in the answers section, over here, you have your kind of design options. So this is where you're going to tell the quiz whether you want to show images or not. So for now, we're going to keep it as we're not showing images, we just want text. And then underneath, we have the layout options. So you can see we have horizontal currently, but you can change it to stacked. You can do columns, radio buttons, and drop down. So all of text questions have these ability to change and have different layouts. So depending on how many answers you have, if you have a lot, maybe a drop down makes sense. If you have just a few, maybe horizontal makes sense. So totally up to you. You also do have right here underneath is where the multi-select question. So if you wanted to allow customers to select more than one question or more than one answer, then you could click this, and this will then show the minimum and max. So if you wanted them to select a minimum of 2 and also a maximum of 2, maybe you only want 2 answers, you can set that up here. So that these boxes will show up once this tab is selected. So that's the design and layout options that you have with text. But when we get into image answers, I'm going to drop down to this one. You have a couple other design options as well. So we're going to click here. As you can see, we've chosen the large images, and that's what this means. They're large images with text above or below. We also have this option here, which is small images, which allow them to be slightly smaller, kind of good use case for icons, or if you want to use emojis, something that doesn't necessarily need to be super visible to the customer. If you're having like shade finder or something like that, and you want to showcase like skin colors, maybe you want to go with the larger images. But if you're wanting to use icons, or maybe you have like a yes, no question and you want to do a check mark and an X, this would be a good use case to use those small inline images. You can do the same thing with image answers where you allow multiple answers to be selected. So you can choose that as well. And then with the large images, you have this option to make answers swipeable. So this is a new-ish feature. We launched it a few months ago. It was requested by some of our customers. So we made it so it's like it's a carousel. So it gives you the option of making answers swipeable for mobile, desktop, or both. And then that will allow, when you take the quiz, to have a button here that the customers can swipe through. So it's just a different design option that you can have in your quiz. Makes it a little bit more interactive. Customers can click through images, things like that. So that is an option as well. And that is for images for questions. Lastly, when you have images as answer options, you scroll down here to the very bottom, you have their display settings. This is a little bit hidden, so I like to point this out, but this is where you can change the style of the image, whether you use like circle, for example, versus square, and how you can determine where the text will live, above or below the image, as well as an option of having no text. So maybe you have your creative team creating images for you and they're including text in the actual images themselves. You can just come in here and remove the text from the images so that only one set of text shows. So you have those options here. Lastly, you do have the option of changing the sizing of the images showing, and that feature is going to live inside both the desktop and mobile menu right here. So when you click inside desktop, you get the option of the content width and then the answers per row. So as you can see here, I could change it to having 2 answers per row, which makes the images larger, or I can go back to having 4 per row, makes the images slightly smaller. You can also play around with the small, medium, and large features here. But just keep in mind, like the larger you get, the less probably you can put on one row. Maybe if you had 6, for example, 6 probably wouldn't fit across one row. So you'd probably have to do 3 and 3. But that is what this answer row slider will help you decide. And you can see like what looks the best, playing around with the different sizes. Yeah, that's all that I was going to cover in terms of the designs for questions and answers and where those design features lives. So yeah, that is all we have for you today. We're going to hop into some questions. It looks like we do have one question, and it says, what type of design do you recommend for quizzes that do well? Do specific assets work better? So I can start, and then maybe Leo and Pablo can jump in. But I would say we do always recommend having visuals in your quiz, whether that is a side image, a background image, answer options for the questions themselves. Not every single question has to have an image in it, but I do think that quizzes with imagery throughout perform better than those that are just text heavy.
Yeah, to add to that, I would also say it really depends on the brand. As long as the quiz is matching the overall branding of the website, like the fonts, you're using some of the same imagery, whether it's illustrations or icons, it will work. It's not a matter of it always has to be lifestyle imagery versus icons. As long as it matches what you're showing on the website itself, you'll be in good shape there.
Yeah, and just to piggyback off of what Pablo showed earlier about how to embed a video in your quiz, those tend to also do well, I think, specifically on results pages. Again, depending on your brand and your vertical, some verticals might do better videos and things, but if you have a product that needs instructions or like how to use, those videos are always super helpful for the customer on the result page, like before and after, like this is type things, instructional videos. So that tends to work well as well. I wouldn't necessarily say we wouldn't recommend putting videos on question pages because you want to make sure it's easy and a good flow for the customer to get to the end of the quiz. But on the results pages, it's a great spot to have that asset. Cool. Another question, how many products do you recommend showing in a quiz, and what are best practices for the results?
I would say this also can depend on the vertical you're in. If you're like a skincare brand, you're probably going to want to show anywhere from 3 to 5, maybe a little bit more if you want to make a whole like skincare regimen. But if you're a jewelry brand, you could probably get away with a little bit more than that. I would say maybe 6 to 8. Once you get over 10, it can be a little bit overwhelming in terms of the experience for the customer. So just keep that in mind. It's also something you can A/B test, really, the matter of how many products you want to show on the result page. So yeah, I would say it really depends, but there is a sweet spot anywhere from 3 to 6, maybe 6 to 8 if you're on a different vertical.
And just to add here, it also depends on how you show those products, because obviously you can just put all of them in a single row. You can put them, I don't know, across multiple rows on your results page. But if you know how to focus on your best sellers, on what really works best for that type of customer, then you should make this a bigger content block. Then you should highlight those products more. You could include more copy under the description describing why is it good for that type of customer. And then for secondary recommendations, you can leave them on a second content block and just make sure that they are there as an optional. You can just provide basic recommendations or additional recommendations on that second content block, as long as it doesn't take the focus away from the main recommendations that you have. So that's pretty much it. But yeah, and if you want to email us with your quiz and what you plan on doing, we can check your verticals, see what works best, but that's pretty much it.
Yeah, agreed with what they both said. I also think just one thing to also note is it depends on how many SKUs you have too as well. If you only have a few and you're showing all of them on the result page, it's not necessarily as personalized. The customer might notice like, oh, these are all the products that you have, or maybe it's 4 out of the 5 products that you have. So you want to make sure you're keeping it personalized for the customer and making sure that it feels like this is the perfect product for them. So just think about that as well. If you have thousands of SKUs, you probably won't have a problem with showing just 5 to 10. But if you only have 10 SKUs in your catalog, I would probably stick to only showing 3 to 5 of them. That way it feels personalized for the customer. If you have more than 2 subscriptions on a product, is there a way to display all options on the results page? At the moment, I think there's only an option to display 2 options currently. I think you're meaning in terms of 2 subscriptions, do you mean like frequency? Like getting the product shipped to you every 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks? Is that what you mean by more than 2 subscriptions? Because I'm not quite sure what that means.
I'm not quite sure either, but I actually think this is an interesting one. Maybe you could email us to the enterprise address and we could dig a little bit deeper into what you're looking for.
Yeah, I'm going to put the email in your question, but yeah, I think we can figure that out because you should be able to showcase all of your subscription options.
Oh, they responded 14-day subscription. There should be a drop-down menu for the additional delivery cadences.
Yeah.
I believe is what you're referring to. There should be that. If there's not, again, email us at the enterprise and we can escalate that. That should be something that we can probably fix for you pretty quickly.
Yeah. You should have on the result page a one-time purchase option, and then you have the subscription purchase. And if you have multiple cadences, there should be a drop-down that has all of them listed, whatever you have set up in your subscription, whatever subscription platform that you use. But yes, please feel free to email us, enterprise@octaneai.com, and we can look into that for you. Awesome. Okay, I think that's all the questions. Any other questions last minute before I exit? I don't think so. Okay. Awesome. Thanks so much for joining. Thanks so much, everyone, for asking your questions. And again, hopefully we'll see you next month on our next live demo, and we'll talk to you all soon.
Bye everyone. Take care.